Welcome to the Pedro Point Headlands and the virtual Pedro Point project. I'm Georgia, and I've been visiting this place my entire life, and today I have the pleasure of showing you around. This place is rich in stories, and it's going to take several people to tell you about the Headlands. You'll be meeting them along the way. Let me show you some of the amazing views of the Headlands. Behind me, you can see the 625-foot summit of Pedro Point Headlands, surrounded by 255 acres of spectacular landscape, including miles of trails with stunning vistas. To my right is San Pedro Rock, a geologic wonder and home of one of the largest and most diverse seabird breeding habitats in San Mateo County. To the south is Montera Mountain, Devil's Slide, and the coast. To the west, about 28 miles away, you can often see the Farallon Islands. To the north is Shelter Cove, Pacifica Beach, and the San Francisco Peninsula. On a clear day, you can see part of the Golden Gate Bridge and Marin County beyond that. It's a place of great natural beauty, but there are also fascinating human stories and an important geological story to tell here. So let's go.
Hi, my name is Lynn Adams. I'm the Stewardship Coordinator for the Pacifica Land Trust. We've been restoring habitat here and trying to maintain the property, and it's been a blast bringing people in locally to help this property. Now, this is a beautiful spot to look at some of our stewardship work. We first put down erosion control fabric and straw so that we could, because a lot of the erosion was down to the bedrock, and nothing could grow in that. So after we put in the erosion control fabric, it allows the rain to come down and not wash away all the soil. We plotted out 30 spots, and 10 of those spots are planted, and with 32 plants of each. And it's been a real joy to watch these little islands of plants survive over 2 years of drought seasons. And our hope is that we could create an island of plants, and then the plants would spread and continue to grow. Another project of our stewardship team has been to simplify the trails here and make it easier for the visitor to find their way around the Pedro Point Headlands. When we arrived 5 years ago, there were so many duplicate trails that people could go anywhere and they didn't really know how to get back. So we kind of closed off a lot of the chutes off here to my right and created one trail that people could follow. And not only has it helped the plants restore themselves, it was easier for the visitor and more gentle for them as well.
The San Pedro Rock behind me is a real focal point for marine birds in this area. During the spring and summer months, black oyster catchers and pelagic cormorants and western gulls nest on the rock, and then during the rest of the year, birds like brown pelicans and several species of cormorants and gulls use the rock as a roosting point. If you come out here at dusk, you can watch large numbers of birds like pelicans swirling around the rock just before they settle in at dusk. Also, the rock is used as a hunting perch by the local peregrines. About half a mile south of here along Devil's Slide, there's a nesting pair of peregrine falcons, and the rock provides a really good perch for them. They can survey the terrain as they're looking for prey. The bluffs along here provide updrafts, and several species of birds like turkey vultures and red-tailed hawks, ravens, sometimes even brown pelicans will soar along these cliffs. If you want to get a good close-up view of these birds soaring, it's an excellent place to stand to watch them.
The really moist, cool conditions in this forest allows this abundance of native shrubs in particular. Red elderberry and coffeeberry, osoberry, all those berries provide a rich food resource for native birds. And in this particular forest, it's attractive to migrant songbirds. Migrant songbirds like to nest in trees, and in this part of California, historically, there really weren't very many trees. So the eucalyptus forest actually provides a major habitat for these species. Species like the Pacific wren live here all year long. You can oftentimes hear them. But other species like band-tailed pigeons move up and down California during different times of the year. And big flocks of band-tailed pigeons will come into this canyon and just feast for a few days on the red elderberries here. This particular forest, because of the fog, the atmospheric conditions, really creates the opportunity for native species and non-native species to come together and provide a novel habitat.
Here we're standing on the dramatic piece of coastline of North America at Pedro Point Headlands. And the story of what's going on here is all about plate tectonics. In plate tectonics, what you have is new oceanic crust, new Earth's crust being formed at ridge lines deep beneath the ocean, and new volcanic rock coming to the surface. And then that creates a layer of rock, a plate, that moves away from that divergent plate boundary. Well, the Earth isn't getting any bigger, and so it's going to have to run into something somewhere. And so some of that rock encounters this big chunk of North America right here. And then it can't climb on top of it. It goes underneath, crams underneath there. It's called subduction. And you get the plates dropping underneath the North American plate and melting and rising to the surface and creating volcanoes like the Cascades. In South America, the Andes. Very significant all along both coastlines down here. And that's been going on for over 100 million years. And as a result of that, that's creating the mountain masses, which are then creating a lot of erosion, and then that erosion dumping sediment along the coast, and that sediment being crammed underneath North America, adding even more mass. And that actually forms the coast range we're here in California, including Pedro Point Headlands. The early humans first occupying this area would have come here about 15,000 years ago. Could have been standing on this very ridge and looking out, and they wouldn't see ocean. You'd have to go past the Farallon Islands to the true edge of the continent. At that time, there were immense glaciers over North America and over northern Europe, and those glaciers took up so much of the ice, so much of the water, that the sea level was much lower than it is today. And you would have seen a grassy plain extending to the distance. And they would have also seen mammoths, mastodons, maybe camels and saber-toothed tigers occupying this incredible landscape. That's our best evidence of when people arrived here. And it's also the best evidence of when, not very long after that, many of these mammoths and mastodons were killed off by, they seem, very innovative humans that knew how to hunt them very effectively.
In the distance below, just to the side of the end of the point, you can see a pile of rubble that marks the spot that used to be the Ocean Shore Railroad stop, called Ransom. Building on the Ocean Shore Railroad began in the year 1905 with the idea of connecting San Francisco with downtown Santa Cruz. The railroad was never completed, but they came through this area in a very dramatic way where the tracks ran right along the bluffs and gave the passengers quite a thrill. There were a few places along the right-of-way where even the bluff route was too much for the engineers to solve. So when they got south of Shelter Cove, they bored a tunnel through. It's only 354 feet, and it served its purpose until 1920. After that, it was used for a time by bootleggers to store their illegal whiskey, and it was finally dynamited shut by federal authorities in 1927.